Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Trevor here, joined by Thomas as always, and we got some festival reviews.
We
You're going to be getting
do.
an onslaught of these.
Yes.
I was at Chicago. Thomas was at London, so you'll be seeing quite a few of of these very, very shortly. Plus a couple of interviews that I may or may not have
Ooh.
done. Um, but let's talk about some IFC stuff that we watched. We're going to try to group, unless it's like a big thing, like a Afterson. Did a solo review of, right? Something that we like really, really love.
Yeah. Really
For the most
wanted
part,
to
we'll
sort of
just
talk about and
yeah,
dissect, I guess.
right. For the most part, I want to group these into like two movies per review. So today we're talking about Corsage and The Lost King. Let's start out with Corsage. This is a film that stars Vicky Krieps, and it's drawn a lot of comparisons to Spencer.
Yeah.
But it is about Empress Elizabeth in Austria, as she is like rebelling against her public image and comes up with a plan to protect her legacy. For starters, Vicky Krieps is really, really good.
Yes. I mean, that goes without saying. Like, she's good in everything I've
Yeah,
seen her in, but this is maybe her strongest performance I've seen her. And yeah, she just
it's
does
close
steal the.
between this and Phantom Thread.
Yeah, but she definitely steals the show and sort of has
Yeah.
to. Like the whole
Mhm.
film sort of rolls around her in the same way. If Kristen Stewart didn't work of Princess Diana in the film Spencer, that film wouldn't have worked. If Vicky Creeps wasn't as good as she was, it wouldn't have worked either. And I do definitely think she is one of my favorite performances of the year so far. And yeah, it's definitely the reason you watch this film, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and her character is like she plays a very like cold character, but
Yeah.
makes her very, very personable and likable. And
Mm.
I think a lot of that is built through like her relationship with her daughter, I would say, is where you see a lot of that characterization. But yeah, she's like really, really strong. None of the supporting performances stuck out to me too much, but
No.
you don't really want them to. This is really just the Vicky Krieps show.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how this film is made because it isn't your traditional period drama, like a
No.
lot of
Far from
shaky
it.
cam, a lot of really interesting camera choices, a lot of very, very interesting choices in the soundtrack that really works for me. A very
Yeah.
modern soundtrack. Like it feels like if you took like the modern sensibilities of something like Marie Antoinette, as far as what that did with like a period drama, but then applied it to like the drama of a film like Spencer.
Yeah, definitely. And like I do think it is a whole style that it is very different from your standard period dramas. And
Right.
some of that is due to as
Intriguing.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like it does still have all of the sort of trademarks of it. So obviously the great costumes are
Right.
still there.
Yes.
There's just great production design as well.
Yeah.
So all of these elements are still there, but they're sort of elevated, given the sort of twists and subverting expectations to them. So yeah, I definitely do think all of the sort of period stuff worked whilst not feeling just sort of generic, really standing out.
I would completely and entirely agree. I mean, yeah, I don't have too much to say about this movie. Like I feel like it drags a bit at points.
It does.
But there's also some really fun editing choices and a really fun thing. There's a sequence where she is on being captured on silent film that serves as kind of like it we keep on returning to it.
Yeah,
And it's a really strong motif in the film, and I think what it's saying is really interesting. I mean, because she has a lot to say and she wants to speak her mind, but she can't because of her position of royalty. So when she's captured on film and there's no noise, she can scream and shout and say whatever she wants, and still, she can do all that and be captured doing it and be presented to the public eye doing it, but no one will know except her. And like I think that that's a really fascinating idea, and it's like really, really, I know it's a really, really fun idea that brought a movie that like I thought was already good to a movie that like I really, really liked.
yeah, and I do think partially the reason it sort of drags a bit is because the story is incredibly hard to follow, not
It's very
least because of
convoluted.
the
Yeah.
language barrier. I do think that does amplify it somewhat, but I think the story would be quite convoluted, quite complex anyway.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to follow the story, maybe that's not the best way of going about enjoying this film. It's more about her character arc and the character itself. We mentioned like just after watching it that it works almost better as sort of a series of vignettes rather than
Yep.
as a consistent story. So that's just something to
But
know
there's
going
nothing
in. I
wrong with
don't
that.
think exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think it detracts from the story. It's just the story itself is quite hard to follow, but it doesn't really matter because you've got Ricky Creeps in an excellent
Yeah.
performance, and you've got all the technical stuff as well to sort of appreciate and examine. So
I
yeah,
mean, and not to sound like a very stereotypical Letterbox user, but this movie is also very much about the vibes Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very fun movie to just kind of immerse yourself in the world in and not really care about what's going on, but just
No.
like
Yeah.
feel what's going on. I mean, and without any spoilers, the final shot of this movie is like stunning.
Yeah. There are a lot of
Um,
shots and sequences, as you mentioned, that are just very, very excellently done, and
yeah.
yeah, really
And
sort
like
of
what the
elevate the
last
film.
shot is like saying, like it looks gorgeous, and it's just like kind of like, it's show stopping. It's a mic drop to end the film on
Yeah.
narratively.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very strong film. I'm personally feeling an 8 out of 10.
I'd exactly the same. Yeah, 8 out of 10. I think that's a very solid score for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. As far as awards chances, I could see this getting into international feature, and I would not be upset with it
Yeah,
happening
it
at
does
all.
have the advantage of having a sort of name like Vicky Creeps that
Yep.
gets sort of American audiences watching it anyway. It gets more eyes on it, and I would
And
definitely
she
be.
should be considered.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
won't
yeah, will
happen,
she
but
be?
she should be
No,
considered.
probably not. But like
BAFTA could happen.
potentially, that is a sort of type of thing they do. But yeah, I definitely think it does. Therefore, has a shot of just sort of sneaking in there and would be more than deserving. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I could also see this showing up on the costumes shortlist.
it could, it could, and
And I
again,
think that would also be very
massively
deserving.
deserving. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So really strong film. Very highly suggest you check it out. I believe it comes out December 23rd,
Okay, nice.
in the United States at
Yeah,
least. And then we got The Lost King.
yeah. Another film about royalty in a way, in a weird way. Yeah, this is a bizarre film. Bizarre film.
To say the least.
Yeah, yeah. Do you wanna
Sally
start talking about it, or
Sally
do you wanna let
Hawkins
me?
isn't
Yeah.
awful.
She's not awful. I don't think she's great though. Like I think her very
No,
limited screen time in Spencer is 100 times better than anything she gives here.
not to
But
bring
she's
up
not
Spencer
bad.
again, but
Well, yeah, I
yeah,
know. It's the sort of theme of this episode. But
yeah.
yeah, she's not bad in it, which is more than can be said about a lot of the elements of this film.
Okay, Desplat
I mean, I
also
think you're
his
giving him a
score
little
isn't
too.
awful.
He just hits a few keys every so often. He's not awful because he doesn't do anything. He literally just took the
Oh my
page
god,
report,
that's
press a couple of keys in there. His score is so minimalistic. Like it's not bad because it's barely a thing to even consider. Like, yeah, sure. If you want to say set up destroy behind you. If you want to say this that score is good, fine. More power to you. I don't
just
think it is.
I
But
bring up, Oscar-winning composer Alexander Desplat. You're just, he
exactly, that's
just
what I'm
hits a couple
saying.
keys every
Yeah,
once in a
that's what
while.
I'm saying. In this film, he chose not to do anything that interesting. He did. He did just hit a few
I
keys here and there.
love that description of Desplat.
Yeah,
Just hitting a
yeah.
couple keys every once in a while.
For this
But
film and
no,
this film
I
alone. Yeah.
honestly think that the score stood out to me because it was one thing
Okay.
that wasn't so abysmally terrible that I was
That's
like,
true.
at
That's
least
true.
this isn't insulting me.
No,
At least this
no.
piece of the film isn't spitting in my face.
Yeah. And I guess
Because
what
the
I'm
rest
saying
of
to
it
counter
is.
that is, yeah, there's nothing really to spit in your face with the score. But anyway, yes, there
Right.
was a lot of very negative elements. I mean, without getting into spoilers, there is a reason why the costumes are so bad. But the reason is it's bullshit
Stupid.
basically. Like yeah,
Yeah.
it's the costumes are bad. The costumes are bad, and they created a reason to make the costumes bad. Like the rest of the performances are really not great. Steve Coogan's nothing special. The guy who plays Richard III is not good
The
really,
kids
and the
are annoying.
children are god awful. I hope they don't go into acting. I really do. But I feel like I'm being a bit too
Fair
harsh in this film,
assault.
but it's deserving. It's deserving because yeah, like the
It's
way the
really bad.
plot plays out is just so melodramatic and like just so obviously done. Like you know
Yeah.
exactly what is going to happen at every single point of the movie. You can predict lines
And
of dialogue at times. So
we
yeah,
did. And
we
like
did exactly.
and like listen, I won't get into it because we'll just
Yeah,
end up talking about it for like 10 minutes. But just
yeah,
look up
and we'll
some
start
of the
getting
behind the scenes
spoilers
about
as
this
well.
movie.
Yeah,
Right.
or just look up
There's
one sort of detail about who maybe is the sort of
just go to
producer
the
or executive
Wikipedia
producer.
page.
Yeah,
Just go to the Wikipedia page and then go to the controversy tab because this
yeah,
movie has one of those on its Wikipedia page.
yes, as it
And
should.
just
As
check
it
that
should.
out. And just
Yeah,
check that out.
because
Just look at
it
it for a little
might
bit. Just
reframe
look at it.
maybe the whole movie for you and
I mean, this
maybe
movie was
paint it
still
in a
bad without that.
yes, I do agree with that, but like it paints things in a very strange light. Let's put it
Yeah.
like that. Very strange, like very
Um,
strange film. This one,
Speaking of
very
strange
strange.
light, the
Oh,
lighting in this
okay,
film
I like that.
is disgusting.
It's
It is
yeah, it.
so overlit and so blown out and so washed out and so like oversaturated. Like it's just so bright. And like you're in the UK, one.
Yeah,
It's dark.
it is dark. Yeah.
I think I said while watching it, you guys haven't had the sunny day in like 23 years.
No, no.
Since
It's
Princess
been
Diana
raining
died, actually.
raining very
Yeah,
heavily all day. Yes,
since
Princess
since
Diana died. Indeed.
um
Pathetic fallacy. Just been 20 years of it, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But no, like straight up, like it's so terribly lit.
It is, yeah.
It feels like they just kind of threw some lights random place and called it a day. The
Mm.
editing's god awful. There are some moments where it just like there's just no tempo to it. There's no rhythm. Like a character will just say their line of dialogue and then it will just hold for like 2 extra seconds. It's like what? Like there was literally no reason. Like, I mean, and I'm perfectly fine holding on it, like if it's a cinematography choice, but there were so many times where it just took me out of the movie like it was just a mistake.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I mean, this whole
I just
film
it's
felt
so
like
sloppy.
a
This whole movie
mistake.
felt like a
Yeah.
mistake,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Like, I guess, okay, to be fair to it, if you are looking for a fun time, it does provide that. It is ironically quite a funny film. So look up the controversy, watch it in that light. You might have a good time, but the film itself is objectively quite bad.
Yeah, I've never been a big Stephen Frears fan,
No,
and this
no.
didn't change that.
No, no. It's the most British movie, and I use that as a negative.
Yeah, yeah. So it's in the UK right now. I think it was actually got a limited release in the US in like New York and LA and Chicago or something,
Okay.
which wasn't initially what I was hearing.
Yeah. Don't
But
rush out to theaters to see this one though.
there's still no planned wide release to my knowledge. So
No.
anyways, Oscars chances none.
None.
Um Golden Globes chances Sally Hawkins for comedy
Yeah.
if they campaign her in
Maybe.
comedy.
BAFTA's chances though. Who
BAFTA's
knows?
chances
Who
they
knows?
could
Because that could
like
it could
listen,
hit
The
big at
Guardian
BAFTAs.
gave this like a 4 out of 5 or
Yeah,
something. Like
it's
it
that sort of jolly British film that, like, we had the Phantom of the Open, the Duke last year. It's one of
yeah,
those, and they can sometimes do quite well at the BAFTAs, especially with a name like Stephen Frears attached to it. People in
who
Britain
they
will watch
love.
it. People in Britain will like
Yeah.
it. It'll probably get certain BAFTA nominations that maybe it shouldn't. And well, no,
I
not
don't
maybe,
okay,
definitely it shouldn't.
I think the only thing that I feel confident about predicting this award season is Best British Film at the BAFTAs.
Yeah,
That is the
yeah.
only thing that I feel confident. I wouldn't be shocked if the BAFTAs ignored this everywhere else. I
I don't
mean,
know.
I could see them nominating it, but like I think the only thing that I feel confident about saying like this is happening is Best British Film.
I can see them getting behind the costumes. Just I can see them thinking of, oh, it was purposeful. Therefore, I can see the narrative. That's a narrative building. I can see this being ahead of the BAFTAs, but who knows?
I
Hopefully not.
can't, but yeah. And thankfully it isn't BIFA eligible. So,
No, no.
um,
Yeah.
we should be seeing things like After Sun Sweep, please. I'm
Hopefully.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that should be sweeping picture, please. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, this movie's really bad. I'm giving it a 2.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 2. I don't think it deserves that. I guess you're giving that half a splat, which I'm just not gonna do.
Giving it for the experience, for the experience.
Yeah, for the
Um,
experience. Yeah.
Anyways, one good movie and one bad movie,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, those are thoughts. Take them as you will. Go and you can watch these movies, and
Well,
don't
I
watch
don't think
one
you
of
need
them.
to watch it. Yeah, you don't need to watch it Lost King.
Go and watch Corsage.
Go and watch
Hope you
Corsage.
like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. You can subscribe. Stay tuned for more awards content, movie reviews, festival coverage, etc. But until then, thank you for watching. Stay safe. And goodbye.